In this video I want to show you how to do the basics of making some boat-like shapes in Fusion 360 that we can practice before we start making some real boat designs. So first, hopefully you can get into Fusion 360 and hopefully you can save a file. I'm going to save this file in anything that's not admin project. I've got a general folder I'm working out of right now, and you can do the same. If you need to create a new folder, a new project, you can do that here. Just don't save it in your admin project and make sure you have access to it later. I'm going to call this Boat Practice 1. Just boat practice for this assignment. You're going to turn in screenshots from this. Alright, first thing I want to do is make a box in Fusion that we can start to carve a boat-like shape out of. I'm going to do one this time that could turn into a rowboat or a motorized boat, small motorboat. So I'm going to go to Create, Box, and I'm going to click on this surface here. I'm going to click on my origin, and I'm going to click randomly. You can make it exact, but I find it a little bit easier to type in our length. Let's make this a 13-foot motorboat long, and let's make it a 4-foot wide. We'll make something a little skinnier, and we're going to make it a height of about 14 inches. And you wouldn't need to type inches if your settings are in inches already, but I'm just going to do that for clarity here. Hopefully your document settings aren't in millimeters. If you were in millimeters, you need to go back and change that to make sure that you're in inches or feet, or you've typed in the correct units. I'm going to stay in inches for now. Alright, I'm going to zoom out and take a look at my shape. And this is the first screenshot you're going to turn in. So on your laptop, it would probably be a Windows key snipping tool, or Windows key Shift S works sometimes. On my Mac it's different, but I'm just going to take a screenshot here. And for me, all I need to do is go here, and I'm going to do 1 and paste it here. Let's make it a little smaller. I don't need to see a lot of detail on this, and it'd be easier to scroll through some pages a little bit quicker. I'm going to save this document as Boat Practice Screenshots, and I'm going to save that in my marine engineering folder. Alright, next thing we're going to do is make some simple cuts in this. One way to do that is with an offset plane. So if we were to put this shape inside water, we would want to know where the water line would be, pretending that this is a finished boat design. So I'm going to construct an offset plane, and I'm going to start at the bottom and move up. Now, some of you, it may have been a while since you've used Fusion. I forgot to sort of introduce the basics again. If you're using a mouse, you can click the scroll wheel to go back and forth with panning. You can use the scroll wheel to zoom, and you can use Shift and click the scroll wheel to orbit. If you're using a trackpad, I gotta remind myself what it is, but it's either 1 finger, 2 finger, or touching the screen can do all those things as well. Alright, I offset this plane 5 inches up from the bottom, and I'm going to pretend that when I put a weight on this box, it pushes this box 5 inches underwater. And I think I'm going to be surprised by how much weight that is here, and I'll show you how to calculate it now. We got to do some stuff with units and dividing in order to be able to see how much weight this supports. So let's first take another screenshot now. It's kind of a hard one to see from that angle. I'm going to give it a little bit of a rotation and screenshot that. And we'll say that's our next skill here, is we did an offset plane. And maybe I'll kind of size that down a little bit too. All right, the next skill is to split this body. So I'm going to go to Modify, and split body, or this shortcut up here. I'm going to click on the object I want to split and click on the splitting tool right here, and we have just made a slice in that object. I'm going to go to my construction planes and turn off plane 1. Don't turn off all construction planes because we're going to add more later. Just turn off plane 1, and then let's turn these two shapes into different materials. So we're going to call this above waterline. I just slow double clicked on the body after opening the bodies menu to rename it. We're going to call this below waterline. And oddly enough, when you want to tell how much weight you can support, you turn the part below waterline into water. So I'm going to right click on this and change my physical material. And I'm going to go, it takes a second to open, under liquid or water, you drag it onto the lower part right there. And now that is water. Now, to get the units in a way that you can kind of see easily, I'm going to change my units to feet because it's going to read out in pounds now if I measure a weight. If I right click on below waterline and go to properties, I have a mass of 1,350 pounds. So, assuming slightly larger than average people, a 200-pound person, I would say that that's going to be 5, 6, almost 7 people, which is definitely too many people to put in a 13-foot boat. So we would think that this is probably more displacement or more buoyancy than we would really need in this shape, which is good because right now it's an ugly shape that we want to shape into something that will work better. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this and a zoom in screenshot as well. So I'm going to go here. Kind of skipped a couple steps there, but let's call this our screenshots here. And then my next one is going to be a zoom in of mass right here. So that's really easy to see. And your numbers don't have to match mine at all, but I want to see that you can do something like this. Okay, I'm going to say cancel. And I actually don't want this to be water anymore, so I'm going to go Control Z, and I don't even want to split my body there. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. There we go. We're back to our start, and I can just turn off plane 1 there. All right. The next skill to do here is to make some slightly different cuts in here. So I'm going to make this into a barge shape. A barge is a type of boat that's very boxy, but it's still not a perfect box. It has some elements that make it a little bit better at going through the water. So I'm going to go to construct, and at this time I'm going to do a plane at angle. And I'm going to orbit to the front of this. I'm going to click on this point right here, this line, sorry, at the front edge, and then I'm going to rotate a plane, something like that. And then I'm going to click OK. Doesn't really matter what angle you use. And then I'm going to do an offset plane from that plane and choose a nice view to really be able to see where I'm cutting, and maybe do something like this. And once again, I can go to modify split body, and I can split this body using this plane and say OK. And I don't really want this chunk anymore. I'm just going to turn it off. I don't need to delete it. Deleting can cause problems later. I'm going to turn off plane 2 and plane 3, and now I've got a kind of more interesting shape here. This shows me you have a skill if you turn this in, but I'm going to just do it a couple more times so that we can do something a little bit more interesting. I'm going to first give myself a line of symmetry I can use by going to construct midplane. A midplane between this side of my boat barge and this side of my boat barge gives me a plane in the middle. Now if I do a construct plane at angle on this line, I can rotate in and click OK, and then I can do an offset plane from that plane. Let me get a good view here. And go out to there. OK, and then I want to copy the plane to the other side before I cut with it. I want to leave my mid plane on. I'm going to label my mid plane so I know which one that is. And then this is my side cut. And I'm going to copy it to the other side now by doing create. Gosh, it's been a long time. Create mirror, right? Yes, create mirror between this and across. So this is my object to cut, and this is my mirror plane here. And select my object to cut. My object to you're not going to let me. Oh, type. Features. Is that going to work? No. Type. Facings. No, not going to let me do it. Okay. So I'm going to copy this in a different way. I am going to split the body first by going to split body. I'm going to cut this thing using this as a tool. Say OK. And then I am going to copy this shape to the other side. I think there's a better way to do this, but I'm going to do it this way right now. I'm going to create mirror. I'm going to mirror. Create mirror. I'm going to mirror this body, and you probably could use faces too, over this mirror plane here, and click OK. Now I have this shape over here, which is not really what I wanted, but I'm going to do a combine command, changing to a cut command. I'm going to cut this thing using this thing as a tool, and I'm not going to keep my tool, and then I should end up with that. And then on this side, all I need to do is turn off that body, and I should have my shape right there. Turning off my planes, I have a symmetrical shape like that. And I'm just going to take a screenshot that exemplifies that shape we made, and then add that to my documents. So there's some angled cuts that show some symmetry, hopefully. Now, if you have time, I think this will probably be at least a meeting at what we got to right here. The next stage would be a curved cut. And this requires some different skills. So I'm going to undo, back to my box. There we go. I'm going to recreate my midplane, construct midplane between here and here, and click OK. And then I'm going to go to the Create Form workspace, and I'm going to create a plane, and I'm going to create a 2-point rectangle starting from this face right here and at a size that's slightly larger than my box. So something like that. We can only have a certain number of lines in this to make this work. We can either choose horizontal lines or vertical lines, and it's much more interesting in this case to choose vertical lines. So I'm going to see here, that's one face that way. It might be the other way. So if I got it wrong, I just switch these two numbers. And on here, I'm just going to do 3. 3 points of control here. There's my plane I'm going to use to slice. Now I'm going to modify move copy. I'm going to be Wait, change this up a little bit on me here. Been a long time since I've been in this spot. Yeah, there we go, move copy. Click right here, and we're going to rotate it inward slightly and move it over slightly. We want this to intersect our side of our boat inside of the edge right there, inside of that edge. And click OK. And then we're going to bend this plane by using an Edit Form button. Grab this guy, and I'm going to move it in all the way across my center line like that. And then there's a lot more adjustment you could do to this, but I'm just going to pull this back edge a little bit. And it really doesn't matter what you do. I just want you to try this for one time, and then you're going to click OK there. Now, to cut the form using the curve, here's what you do. I'm going to go to Finish Form, and I'm going to go to Split Body. And I'm going to split this body using this splitting tool and say OK. And now I've got this thing here, and it's starting to look a little bit boat-like. You can copy your plane to the other side and cut it again by doing Create Mirror. Mirror this plane across this mirror plane and say OK. And then we can, interesting, I wonder why I did that error. We'll see if that causes a problem. I'm now going to split body and cut this thing using this curve and say OK. And then I can turn off everything I don't need and keep what I do, and we've got a awfully boat-like shape to start with. All right, take a screenshot of that, put it in your document, and turn it in with this assignment. If you have extra time, the obvious next step is to spend some time designing a boat you actually might want to build. So there it is. Hope that helps, and ask me when you've got questions.